Hey, Metal Shop Steve here. I have a review for you, and today's review is a brand new album out by the band Arch Enemy, and this is a band with a pretty big following, pretty large in the whole melodeath scene out there. If you're not familiar, I'm guessing if you're watching this, you're probably pretty familiar with who Arch Enemy is. They've changed singers back few years ago. I don't really even remember. Currently, Alyssa White Gloves is the singer and singer slash growler. But really kind of high level melodeath band, very popular out there, and for good reason. This is their new album, and a couple of things before I get into the songs and stuff like that. For me, they are so musically and just in terms of their playing technically sound that they're like one step off from being a legit prog rock band like Dream Theater, even some of the Queensryche stuff, because they're just that technically, musically sound. Not taking anything away from other bands out there. I know there are a few other bands that are really amazing. Opeth, bands like that really do a lot musically in addition to the heavier death metal vocals and things like that thrown in. But Arch Enemy, this album just, it has it all. It is so well done musically. So musically, again, the guitar's very technical, and I've got to say that probably, and I know because of who this band is, Alyssa gets a lot of publicity. She's a very dynamic front woman, and a lot of times in bands, that's how it is. The singer, the front person, gets a lot of the attention, but I have to tell you that the guitar work on this album is spectacular. Some of the best I've ever heard for melodeath and beyond. It is just the tone, the sense of melody, the downright metal. But you have to hear it really to understand. It is that good for me. That really made the album for me. I'll go ahead and say that right up front. The guitar work here made the album for me. With all that being said, let me get in here. I have 3 songs picked out as my favorite songs from this album, and they kind of just fall in order of how they appear on the album. First one, Handshake with Hell. This is it's the opening track. It's a blistering opening to the album, which I think is so important, because at least today, maybe not back in the day, where everybody was buying the entire album and you had to sit there and listen to the tracks one by one. People skip around these days, especially with digital streaming music. So it's so important, if you want somebody to listen to the whole album, to have a really bang up starting track. And that's what this is. It kind of has, in the middle of all that, kind of this ghostly interlude in the middle, softer singing. One of the great lines from the album is only reap what we have sown, and so you have that kind of softer, ghostlier, ethereal break in the song, and then it just kicks back in again, of course, because that's what pretty much the whole album is. It's going to be just rocking melodeath. The next one I have is The Watcher. And again, a lot of these songs that I've picked out, I have the guitar mentioned first because that's what really struck me. And this one opens with this haunting guitar. And then that guitar pops up kind of the whole way through here, but haunting, beautiful, melodic. Again, I can't get enough of the guitar on this album. And then, of course, Alyssa comes in, and there are crushing vocals in this one. And that's a nice balance to that haunting guitar. And this one actually has a really great guitar solo in it. And a lot of times with death, even melodeath or things like that, even prog. You're not getting the solos like you did with traditional heavy metal or the glam bands, things like that lived and died on guitar solos. But a really great guitar solo here, and not in like a "hey, look at me" kind of way, but just in a augmenting the song kind of way. And then the third song I have listed here is Poisoned Arrow. And this one I would describe as ballad's the wrong word, but when you listen to heavier bands, Metallica has done it, and some of your death bands have done it, but it's more of an epic song with it's almost like a story. Usually they're longer, so I'm not exactly sure how to categorize it. It's not a ballad, but it's as close as it gets. It's very epic though. A lot of beauty here, really beautiful song, strings involved, and again that haunting guitar. This is another place where the guitar, the tone, the melody really shines. You can tell that a lot of work was put into the guitar. I would be surprised if the guitar tracks here were just thrown together in haste. I have a feeling that these were some well thought out melodies. The only criticism I have here on this album overall and on this song, the only one I have, and I love this band, I love Alyssa and what she can do, I just wish there was a little bit more clean singing throughout this album. I know she can do it. She can do it well when she does. Especially as an example on this last track, Poisoned Arrow, the chorus, for me, felt like the perfect opportunity to kind of bring in a little bit more clean vocal, but instead she went harsh the whole way through it, and it was almost the perfect song, but with a little bit of that, I think it would have been even more perfect. Disagree with me if you want, but I like a little bit of the clean to balance out, especially when you're talking melodeath. Not if you're talking like hardcore Cannibal Corpse, that kind of stuff, but on this more almost borderline prog melodeath scene, you do want, especially if the band does it. If they don't do it at all, then you're not really worried about it. But if they do it, you want to hear it in the right places. And I think that would have made this, rather than maybe an 8 or a 9 out of 10, a 10 out of 10 album for me. That's how good this album is, but it could have been a 10, in my opinion. Still love it. Still think it's a great album. You should check it out. You should probably own it if you're into buying albums, as I am. But again, the album is called Deceivers by Arch Enemy. Brand new. Go check it out, and I will see you later.